We are in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Today I'll answer the question, is it still possible to retire on a tight budget here? I'll share estimated costs for a retirement lifestyle with low to middle range living expenses. I left the United States 18 years ago. I traveled the world, moving forward on one-way tickets while sharing the best places to retire affordably overseas. I was last in Brazil 16 years ago. I returned to get today's cost of living numbers. I'll share the video Chung and I took with our feet on the ground while we are here. Rio de Janeiro is the most beautiful large city I've seen in the 73 countries I've lived in since leaving the US. I will cover the 8 factors retirees must consider when retiring overseas. I will start with the first 2, safety and cost of living. There's no such thing as 100% safety. It is always relative to your current situation. In 2024, Rio experienced about 27 murders per 100,000 population. 13 cities in the US had higher murder rates than Rio. The violence in those 13 U.S. cities is grouped mostly in areas controlled by gangs fighting over drug territory. People who stay out of those areas feel pretty safe in those 13 U.S. cities. That same pattern holds for safer neighborhoods in Rio, such as Leblon, Ipanema, and others. So I'll use cost of living numbers in the areas where we feel safe in Rio. It costs more than many parts of Rio, but we feel safe there. I'll share my Rio safety tips at the end of this video. Okay, estimated cost to retire in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Rents. I found an unfurnished 1-bedroom apartment advertised today in local money, but I'll convert to US dollars for you, $706 US per month with a long-term lease agreement in the area of the city that we feel safe. If you rent for a shorter period on Airbnb, it would be much more expensive. If you rent a larger apartment long-term, the rent would be higher, starting around $1,012 per month, depending upon area and size. Here's the process we use to find great apartments. So we'll show you a table of all expenses in a moment. We'll use $706 US per month for our lower rent estimate, and $1,012 per month for the middle cost of living estimate for expats who want a little more space. Utilities. We estimate the year-round average for our utilities would be around $70 per month. The utilities would cost more for the larger space, maybe around $106 per month. Groceries. We estimate about $340 per month for groceries. Other expats are likely to shop in more expensive grocery stores, often spending more like $450 per month and a lot of imported goods, foods. Okay, restaurants. We would eat out twice per week in local style restaurants for about $6 to $12 per meal per person US, and 1 or 2 splurges per month of $12 to $20 per person per meal. If you add all that up, we'd spend around $225 per month for the 2 of us in restaurants. We may have a beer here and there, but that is covered below in alcohol. Other expats are likely to eat more often in expensive restaurants and less in the local style restaurants. So they would likely spend more like $380 per month for 2 people in restaurants. It is lifestyle dependent, of course. Cell phone data. The cost to get a prepaid SIM card for your unlocked smartphone is about $10 per month. Other expat couples are likely to buy 2 prepaid SIM cards, so they'd spend maybe $20 per month. Laundry. Unfurnished apartments in Rio de Janeiro generally have no washing machines, so you could either buy a washing machine or drop off laundry in the area. We charge us about $15 US for 5 kg of laundry per week, or $60 per month for laundry. Drinking water. They have these ceramic drinking water, big 4-liter jugs that have a filter in them. They cost around $120 to purchase. And then the filter refills are about $100 a year. So we would spend about $12 per month on drinking water. Internet, 50 megabits per second in-home Wi-Fi is about $25 per month. Transportation. Rio de Janeiro has a subway which costs $1.50 each way. We estimate the two of us taking one round trip ride per week would spend about $24 per month. We would also take Uber at home one way at night twice per week, say for $2 per ride, or another $16 per month. So $40 per month for the two of us for transportation. We walked everywhere because we were exploring where we would live if we moved here. Many people also ride bikes here, so we would consider purchasing bikes also. Other retirees may want to pay cash for a used car, but would still need to pay another $500 per month, maybe more, for gasoline, repairs, insurance, and off-street parking. Alcohol. Domestic beer in Rio is about 93 cents for a tall boy. In bars and restaurants, it'd be about $2.43. So we estimate about $100 per month on alcohol for the two of us. Many other expats would spend a higher amount for imported foreign or craft beers in convenience stores, bars, and restaurants. So we estimate about $300 per month for them, for two people, assuming they do not drink imported whiskey or wine. Entertainment, which is optional, of course. We budget about $200 per month for entertainment for the two of us. We generally enjoy more do-it-yourself kinds of entertainment, so other expats might spend a little more, maybe $300 per month for the two of them. So let's add it all up. Estimated cost to retire in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. For the lower, rent $706, utilities $70. These are in US. Groceries $340, restaurants $225, $10 for cell data, laundry $60, drinking water $12, internet $25, and transportation $40. Those basic costs for the two of us at the lower estimate would be $1,488 per month. Add the $100 alcohol, put us at $1,588. Optional entertainment of $200 would put us at $1,788. For the middle estimate, which is a little higher, rents and restaurants and groceries and transportation, their basic cost would be $2,565. With the alcohol of $300, $2,865, and with entertainment of $300, put them at $3,165. This is in US again. We gathered this data with our feet on the ground here in October of 2025. So just for inflation after that, the above lower estimate cost of living would be if the two of us lived in Rio on a tight budget in the neighborhoods I shared with you. The middle estimate is just an example of what more typical expats might spend if they moved here and had a little bit deeper pockets. So what would it cost you to live in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil? To understand what it would cost you to live here, you must put your feet on the ground, see how you would choose to live, eat, and entertain yourself, and add it all up. It doesn't really matter what anyone else spends because we are all different. You should also add anything to the table that you spend money on in your home country that's not listed in the table. Presumably you find those things necessary in life. To do that, visit Numbeo Rio de Janeiro, link provided. Add anything not mentioned in the table. Anything not on Numbeo you should add during your exploratory visit before moving to Rio permanently. Never move anywhere until you've visited first personally to verify the living costs for your lifestyle needs. I'm not guaranteeing these prices. These are just my notes and estimates from the time my visits and this post. Your costs will likely be drastically different depending on your lifestyle. Typical expats living in Rio range spending about $2,000 to $5,000 a month, but people spending that much often have higher savings, incomes, and pensions. I often report spending more on accommodations, eating out more, entertainment, travel, alcohol. Many also have more expensive cars, houses, or apartments. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, livability factors. Before you move anywhere outside your home country, make sure to create a list of things you must have for your happy retirement. Here are my livability factors. I'll rank each as high, medium, or low before assigning an overall retirement desirability score for Rio. Walkability, I would say high. We walked everywhere in Lebanon and in Padina. Everything was so centralized we rarely needed to walk more than 30 minutes to get where we needed for everyday purposes. Plus, walking is the healthiest way to stay in shape as we age. Internet, I would say high. The in-home Wi-Fi in our apartment was about 50 megabits per second up and down. Good enough for us to do Zoom calls, upload YouTube videos, and watch Netflix. We were also able to use our cell phones as hotspots when we were out of the house together. Food, I would say high. There are restaurants from all over the world, so you'll probably be able to find foods from home, and several grocery stores have food from around the world. If we lived here, we would have a tendency to cook at home much of the time because we seem to have a much higher tolerance for spicy foods than we find in the restaurants. And it would be easier to control our food budget by eating at home more. But we would go out 3 or 4 times per week because it is such great people watching and fun to be out and about. Weather, I would say high. Brazil's below the equator, so summer's in December. Summer daytime highs average from around 88 Fahrenheit, which is 31 Celsius, in February, down to daytime winter highs of 77 Fahrenheit, which is around 25 Celsius in July. Nightly summer lows average 75 Fahrenheit or 24 Celsius in January, down to around 68 Fahrenheit or 20 Celsius for nightly lows in July. The rainy season is October through March, with December and January receiving the most rain, around 12 days of the month with rain. Things to do, I'd say high. Rio is one of the hottest tourist spots in Brazil. Being around people on holiday can be good because they're excited and want to try new things, party and have fun and spend money. But it can also be bad because it tends to force prices higher in the neighborhoods around you, and having people everywhere around you can get annoying. Our favorite thing to do in Rio is walking around, people watching in the beautiful tree-lined streets and beaches while enjoying this charming city and its beautiful people. Rio has everything you would expect, such as swimming, scuba, beaches, boat tours, kayaking, stand-up boarding, live music, surfing, people watching, nightlife, professional soccer, cultural tours, coffee shops, tennis courts, shopping, opera, symphony, and golf. Social considerations, I would say medium. English is not widely spoken in Rio. You'll find some English speakers in tourist-facing businesses, especially in Copa and Ipanema. But if you're unwilling to learn some basic Portuguese language, you'll be spending a lot of time on Google Translate. So if you intend on retiring here, you should learn some Portuguese for a more meaningful life. I've met many expats overseas who have used Duolingo, the free language smartphone application, to learn many different languages. Safety, I would say medium. The Ipanema and Leblon areas of Rio are relatively safe. Nothing valuable should be in an unsecured pocket, front or back, and don't leave valuables out in the open. Also, the U.S. State Department issues travel advisories for each part of the world, which you should be aware of. Brazil's is level 2 right now. Exercise increased caution. We often travel to level 2 locations, so that's not really a big deal for us, but you should be aware of it nevertheless. Here are my thoughts on how to remain safe all over the world. It's a link. You can click it and watch it. This is all the first link in the notes below this YouTube video, all these links and whatnot. Okay, expat community, I would say medium. Here are a few Facebook pages that cater explicitly to English-speaking expats living in Rio. These online expat communities are great for learning things that expats want to learn when they first move overseas. You'll often find that someone has answered your question recently on these pages, so first search for already answered questions. Medical, I would say high. The Healthcare International Comparison Index ranks Brazil 83rd in the world, which is not quite as good as the United States, which ranks 69th in the world. There are different ways healthcare is rated, but this one seems to be considering not only quality of care, but also what patients are charged, and that's what really hurts the U.S. The good news is that Brazil's public healthcare system is free for all citizens and visitors, as mandated by the country's constitution. Several tourist videos report receiving free treatment in hospitals in Brazil. Tourist visa, I would say high. Australia, Canada, US are countries whose citizens are currently required to get a digital e-visa for tourism and business travel to Brazil. Other countries should check the embassy in their home country to verify whether or not they need a visa for entry. Retirement visa, you must demonstrate $2,000 US per month pension or an equivalent and prove you are retired in your home country, provide a clean criminal record in your home country, and prove that you have health insurance if the application is made from outside of Brazil. Otherwise, you don't need the health care. You can probably do this yourself, but if you want a lawyer, I would request a referral to a lawyer on one of the expat Facebook pages that I shared above, I would ask expats for an immigration lawyer who they use personally to get their retirement visa. Real estate. Foreigners can own land in Brazil, although there are some limitations and significant complications even for Brazilians in buying real estate. To give you an example, you can get a fixer-upper 1-bedroom in Leblon for about $129,000 US. I would not buy real estate in a foreign country until I have lived there for an extended period of time, making sure I loved it after the honeymoon period. I have a report explaining what to look out for and why when you're buying real estate. I would also hire lawyers, I said, with no conflict of interest with me. Do not use a lawyer recommended by your real estate broker or your local lover. I would seek a referral from an expat who has used that lawyer's services to successfully buy real estate in Rio. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, overall retirement desirability score, I would say high. I love this part of Brazil. It's presently one of my favorite places in South America. Okay, Leblon to Ipanema Beach walking tour. You can take that tour. There's a map there. It's a beautiful tour. And also walking all around Leblon and Ipanema is just one of the most beautiful places, as you can see in the video we're showing you. My Rio safety tips. We felt safe walking around Ipanema, Leblon areas, daytimes, and even into the early evening. From the early evening on, we would order an Uber taxi whenever we realized the direction we needed to walk was not full of other people. The key to our sense of safety was avoiding isolation by using Uber taxi app once we realized the direction we needed to walk was starting to feel isolated. Additionally, be sure to read my thoughts on how to stay safe worldwide, link provided. Where we stayed in Leblon and our transfers. We stayed at this Airbnb apartment for about $70 per night, short term, including the cleaning fees. We wanted to be in walking distance of everything, so we were willing to pay a little more. If we moved here and signed a 1-year lease, I would expect to pay about 1/3 of that rate, around $706 a month, as I shared earlier, as I show above under the cost of living rents. How we got to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. We flew with one-way tickets from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to Rio on Qatar Airways for about $1,200 per person. We find the flight on skyscanner.com, but booked it directly with Qatar. We had already booked a flight departing Brazil for Argentina about 6 weeks later, but we were never asked for proof of an onward flight when checking into our flight to Brazil or by immigration upon entry into Brazil. The taxi to our Airbnb accommodations from the airport was arranged through our Airbnb host and cost $50. They do have the Uber taxi application in Brazil, so make sure to download it and sign up before flying there. Our day trip to central Rio, we took the subway from the subway station in Leblon to the subway station link provided in central Rio, and then walked to the following places for a day trip, heading home on the subway in the opposite direction. The cost was $150 per person each way. We went to a nice kebab, falafel, and chicken wrap restaurant. We went to the monastery, which is one of the most beautiful buildings in all of Brazil, gorgeous. And then we also went to the Free Library of Brazilian Authors, which is ranked in one of the top 10 beautiful libraries in all of the world. And then on the link also has all the restaurants we ate at, where we shopped, and also the hippie Ipanema Sunday market, which is fun. And so all of that is available to you. Click the video on screen now to learn how to retire overseas, and grab a free copy of my ebook by scanning this QR code. That'll teach you how we pay for this lifestyle. Thanks for watching.